All right, fellas. Good afternoon. Today's lesson tutorial that we're going to be covering here in this lesson is we're going to talk a little bit about RHINO and LLAMA protection, which is a quick game protection that involves 6 men. Okay, so in the blocking scheme, we will be able to account for 6 defenders. Okay, so that would be our entire offensive line that would be involved, and our tailback that will be involved in this particular protection. So without further ado, let's take a look at this so that we can iron out any wrinkles that we may have in understanding this particular protection concept. So I'm going to go over to, if I share the screen, I'm going to go over to the Just Play software, and hopefully by going through this, we become more proficient and more confident in what our job is, what it entails, and how we can get the job done. Okay? So if we look at, this is RHINO protection, okay? And you can see that I have 7 bodies drawn up, and one of them is red, okay? So what does that mean? That means that we have a left tackle, left guard, right guard, right tackle. That's 5. And we have our tailback, which makes 6. That means that this guy in this protection, we cannot account for, we cannot block. All right? So if they bring 7 and we only have 6, all right, theoretically, they win. However, if you noticed here, I drew up an X and I drew up a Z. Okay. What does that mean? That means that if we see this, that we have a 7th guy that's coming, our outlet or our answer, all right, if they do this, then we do this type of thing. All right. Would be, we have a blocker here and we have a guy receiving an outlaw, okay, here, which is our uncovered screen. So when the quarterback comes up and he sees that this guy doesn't have a man over top of him, or has a man over top of him, like a safety, who's about 10 to 11 yards off the ball, okay, theoretically, that's a win for us, because we're going to snap it and we're going to throw it here to that guy. And then basically we're off to the races. All right. Hopefully anywhere for a 4+ yard gain after the reception. All right. Now let's look at the protection scheme itself. All right. Not worrying so much about the hot guy that we can't account for. Let's talk about the rules, and let's talk about who we can account for and what we are responsible for in RHINO protection. So there's an R in RHINO, which means we're going to the right. So if you look at the diagram here, we have a 5 technique defensive end to the side of the slide. Again, for RHINO, it is a full slide with the offensive line to the right side. So we have our right tackle, right guard, center, left guard, and left tackle all going to the right, okay? And we have our running back filling backside to the left. So you ask yourself in this particular scenario, is my gap open or is my gap closed? If I look at the right tackle and I'm responsible for C gap, which is what he's responsible for, my gap is closed. So therefore, I can do one of 2 things. All right. I can either jump this guy, all right, or I can post and slide. Because we're sliding this way, and this guy, aggressive as he is, 9 times out of 10, I'm probably going to end up jumping this guy pretty quick to get his hands down so he's not in the throwing lane. Okay. So gap closed, responsible for C gap. I'm either jumping or I'm posting and holding. Okay. Posting and holding. Why? Because if I'm posting and holding, that could be because there's a guy off the ball and outside, and I'm not sure whether or not he's going to come. All right. But in this instance here, I would probably, because it's closed and he's in immediate danger for a quick game, all right, which is the quarterback's catching the ball, he's taking a rocker step, all right, and he's throwing it, I'm probably going to end up jumping this guy. The right guard has an immediate threat. Is my gap open or closed? The B gap is closed because there's a defender there, a 3 technique. Okay. 5 technique here, 3 technique here. So I'm probably going to jump this guy. Again, a threat, immediate threat that's also in the throwing lane. All right. So responsible for B gap. The center in the slide is responsible for the play side A gap, which would be this gap here. All right. Is his gap open or closed? Right now, his gap is open. Okay. However, there is a man that's in a 10. All right. Which is a linebacker that is off the ball. All right. In a 10 technique, which would be A gap, play side A gap, 5 yards off the ball. But his gap is open. So he's going to do one of two things. He's either going to kick, okay, or he's going to post and hold, okay? So here, no immediate threat at the moment. He's probably going to post and hold here. If this guy comes in this A gap right here, the center would be responsible for him. Backside, left guard is responsible for the backside A gap in the slide. Is his gap open or closed? His gap is closed. So, immediate threat? Yes. Okay. So I'm probably going to end up jumping this guy. Okay. I'm probably going to end up jumping this guy and taking this guy and securing the backside A gap. Lastly, in the slide, we have our left tackle, which is responsible for the backside B gap. Is his gap open or closed? Right now, his gap is open. He's got a 30 technique, so outside shoulder to guard, 5 yards off the ball. All right. 30 technique linebacker. So gap open. All right. Right now, I would say he's going to post and hold, eyeballing this linebacker. So if he does come, he would be responsible for that linebacker. And lastly, who's responsible for the backside C gap defender or defensive end? Because the entire line is sliding to the right, we're putting our tailback as the 6th man in charge of the backside C gap defender, which in this picture would be the defensive end. So therefore, we don't need a knockout blow on this guy. We just need you to be inside, all right, thigh board of this defensive end, all right, in the C gap. If you miss, do not miss outside, okay? I don't want you to miss at all, but if you do happen to miss, all right, make sure that you're on the inside of him because it still gives the quarterback an opportunity to catch the ball and get rid of it, all right? Gives him an opportunity to catch the ball and get rid of it before this guy can make a play and become an imminent threat or a dangerous threat to the quarterback in a quick game concept or the quick game scheme. All right. So that's basically RHINO protection in a nutshell. It's a 6-man full slide, okay, concept for our offensive line, accounting for front side C, front side B, front side A, backside B, and the running back responsible for the backside C gap. Okay? These are the rules. This is the protection. This is what you need to ask yourself when you get up to the line of scrimmage, a pre-snap, all right, if this protection so happens to be called. Now, if we flip it, it's the same deal. It's just going in the opposite direction. It's just called LLAMA, L for llama, okay? L for llama, which means the entire offensive line is sliding to the left, okay? We're going, again, on a 6-man full slide protection that accounts for 6 guys in the box. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, we can only account for 6 men or 6 defenders, okay? If they bring a 7th, then we have to get it out quick. That's the quarterback's guy, okay? That becomes the quarterback's guy because we can't block him, okay? So how do we account for it? Like I said on the last picture, is we have an outlaw route. that will help control this defender that we can't block. All right, so we have a stalk out here. We have an outlaw here. If we have a defender, a safety that's 10 yards off in this picture, we're probably going to snap it, and we're probably going to throw it to the Z on some sort of outlaw. However, if this guy is hanging out here in between number 2 and the end man line of scrimmage, we can still make this protection work, and we still have 6 for 6 in the box. Okay? So, again, is my gap open or closed? If I'm the left tackle, all right, it is closed. And I'm in the throwing lane, so I'm probably going to jump this guy, all right, on the front side C gap. Left guard, front side B gap. Is my gap open or closed? My gap is closed. I'm probably going to kick and jump this dude, all right. At the 3 technique, I'm probably going to kick and jump this guy, all right, because he's an immediate threat. Center, is my gap open or closed? I have a 10 technique linebacker. My gap is open. All right. So I'm probably going to post and hold just in case this guy decides he wants to come. I would account for the front side A. Backside A gap, right guard. You're probably going to kick and jump this guy because he is in immediate danger here in this backside A gap. Backside tackle or right tackle, you're responsible for the B gap. So you're probably going to post and hold here, eyeballing this 30 technique linebacker. If he happens to come here in the B gap, you would have that. And then obviously the backside C gap defender, the tailback is responsible for him. All right, again, being inside thigh board of him, aiming for the inside thigh. If we miss, again, we want to be inside of this guy, which allows the quarterback an opportunity to still catch the ball and get rid of it before he becomes any type of danger to him. All right, so that is RHINO and LLAMA protection within our offense. It is a quick game protection. It is a 6-man full slide protection, including the running back, accounting for 6 defenders in the box. All right, I hope this tutorial was helpful for everyone. If you have any questions, you obviously know where to find me. And hopefully it allows for us to play more confident and execute at a higher level. All right, until next time, this is Coach C, and we'll see you all next time. All right, stop share. All right, and see you then. Peace out.